we recording? No. We need to be. Hold on. Let's see. 1639.
By the way, we took down boss number 1.
Oh, yeah, I heard. He was a pain in the bum. Is he a pain in the bum?
He was a pain in the bum, but it was a great, I can't even talk about this on the show, but it was a great night of rating because we hit our head against him several times, made small adjustments each time, and the very last pull of the night, we took him down.
Wow. I love when that happens.
And that's how it's supposed to happen.
Yep. That's good game. That's good gaming.
Yeah.
All right. Here goes then. Time for our show. It starts in 3, 2, 1. Coming up on TMS, how stupid is your mailman?
Your candy will be different this time.
Sam Elliott says, it's about time.
Ken Griffin has a nice house.
Someone lasered Tom Brady.
About time. Therapy Thursday and more on this episode of The Morning Stream.
Do I look like I know what a JPEG is? I just want a picture of a goddamn hot dog.
See you later. We're being evacuated.
The Morning Stream. Let's go, Sharks!
Brian on ukulele today. It's fantastic. Nice.
Sorry, I accidentally hit a few strings while I was trying to air guitar.
Only the chat room and YouTube viewers will know what the hell we're talking about. Brian just did some sweet...
Until that GIF makes its way onto the internet.
Yeah. Somebody go
3,
clip that out.
2, 1.
Yeah. Get that over to me. I'll make a GIF. Oop, I hit a button I didn't mean to. Yeah, send me that. I'd like to do a GIF of Brian biting his lip as he played his sweet guitar.
That is air guitar face.
Yeah. Is it?
That is.
Oh my gosh, air guitar. I had a friend who could do any Van Halen riff or song on a what do you call it? Racket, a tennis racket.
Oh, tennis racket.
And it was so.
Can anybody like?
It was so good though. It was so
I guess just knowing the.
Yeah, and he knew, and he would like it. He would like pay attention to each finger, and he would just get like all close to the ones up to the. And we'd film him doing this, and now he's an accountant. So there's that. He really is.
Oh, how far they've fallen.
Yeah, those are high school days. What are you gonna do? Hey, good morning. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's the TMS show, the morning stream it stands for, and it's January 24th, 2019. That's Brian. I'm Scott, and this is just about the end of the month. We're getting there, and I have a couple of big pieces of news today. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
Here's the bombshell for today.
Okay. All right.
Taylor went to just a regular checkup. She's due in February, okay? Her baby. My daughter's baby, for those not in the know.
Oh my God, you're going to be Grandpa Johnson.
Oh geez. Anyway, in my 40s. I love it. So she goes in there and they do their check-in and their whatnot that they do. And he says, well, looks like we're going to induce you next Wednesday. So she's going to have a January kid.
Oh, wow.
And either it comes before Wednesday because it just happens, which probably won't happen, or they're inducing her on Wednesday, which means that's the day. Sometime during the day that day. Who knows how long that takes. I can't remember how long Kim's induced. I think Kim got induced on the first one. It took her like an hour and a half or 2.
Yeah.
But they want to induce because she's my daughter. If you don't know my oldest, she is not like the rest of us. She's not super tall. She's shorter than everybody, and she's super petite and kind of tiny. And in the pregnancy itself, she has stayed that way. So she is. The only weight she has gained is the baby.
Right, the baby itself.
Yeah, the baby itself. And when she says, my fingers are puffy, I look at her and they're less puffy than mine. Like, she doesn't get puffy. So
basically, she had her oven up too high, and we don't want to overcook the baby.
Yeah, I don't want to overcook the baby. The baby's gotten large and in charge, and they want to induce because it's just time. Like, let's go. Like, sometimes it's better to go. Otherwise, you end up with weird breachy things, and she's too small, emergency C-sections, all this kind of stuff. She doesn't want to do all that, and I wouldn't either. So anyway, that's what the doctor's recommending, so that's what she's doing. So to answer the chat room's question. So on Wednesday, they induce her. if she hasn't already started, and she may start by then because all signs are pointing to it's time. Like the baby's kicking around like nuts. It's he's dropped. You know how they drop.
Oh yes, right. They moved into the atrium.
Yeah. You got the cervical number.
They're in the lobby.
Yeah, exactly. They're waiting for their Uber at this point.
From the balcony to the mezzanine, or what is that? I can't remember where the mezzanine is.
I don't know where the mezzanine is. What is the mezzanine?
I'm trying to remember.
Is the mezzanine it's a glass enclosed something, isn't it? A mezzanine?
It's not the balcony, but it's also not the floor, right? The mezzanine is between the balcony and the floor. Is that right?
I don't know. Like if you go to a restaurant and they say, "Would you like to sit in the mezzanine?" What am I saying yes to? Because I've had that before. People have said, "You want to sit in our mezzanine?" And now the word's starting to sound funny. Mezzanine.
It does, right? Mezzanine. It's a good word. It's a fun word to say.
Mezzanine.
Mezzanine.
Whatever it is. So she's it's going to be pushing and pulling and yanking come Wednesday. Nice. So we've decided on it's not going to be Gizmo and Poopa was the original names. It's not going to be Kim and I's names now. Now it's going to be I forgot what Kim's is. Crap, she'll tell you on Skim today. But mine's going to be Pops.
Pops. Wow,
yeah.
Okay.
It's like some old guy
Pops.
up the road, like some guy that's going to tell you, I wouldn't go up there if I were you. That guy.
I'm thinking more like Tony Soprano referring to Uncle Junior. Listen, Pops, you can't come over to the house anymore. Carmela doesn't like it.
Carmela. Hey, did you hear his son's playing him? Did you hear about that? Where did we talk about that? Well, we talked about it yesterday, didn't we?
I don't know if we did or not. Did we?
Somewhere I did. Where did I talk about this?
Yeah, it wasn't here.
No.
But,
almost everything I talk about happens here, so I'm always surprised.
I know, yeah, no, I thought so too. But no, we didn't. I don't think we did talk about it. But yeah, Junior Gandolfini.
Yeah, Michael, I think.
Which
was his name.
Which is cool. I mean, I think the story's not going to be so focused on young Tony Soprano as much as it is
the crime
Tony
family.
Soprano's family. Like,
yeah.
Like
the
Junior and
the building up of the criminal enterprise that is the Soprano legacy.
Was it the North riots or North Shore riots? Whatever. There was something that they talked about a lot in the show that was the creation of the family.
Yeah, which is anyway. Interesting. They did some flashback stuff, so.
But we don't know if he's a good actor or not. I mean, it could just be stunt casting that doesn't live up to the level of The Sopranos.
Yeah, could be like Schwarzenegger's kid. You don't see him doing anything.
Right.
Yeah, some of these guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, some of them just look
But his
weird.
daughter, marrying Chris Pratt. I mean, we're just
yeah.
gonna bounce all over with all the celebrity news.
Yeah.
So calling you Pops. Let's steer back into port.
Oh
here.
yeah, let's go.
Pops Johnson. I think I might just start calling you Pops Johnson.
Oh no, let's not have that. We can't have that. I'm still grappling with this idea of like, this isn't one of those major like life moments, like a transitional like, oh hey, we've done the one, we did the one, then we got the other. Now this is another big one, a big tentpole moment in your life, and I still don't. I mean, I'm excited. I'm stoked. I can't wait I'm so proud of her. She's great. It's great. Everything's great. But there's a little piece of me that's still wrestling around on the carpet with the idea that I'm going to be a grandfather. Like, that's insane. I'm supposed to be an immature doink the rest of my life.
Right.
How is this happening? So, anyway.
You can still be that. You can be an immature doinky grandfather.
How many grandpas have Twitch hats on? How many? One right here, baby. Right.
Well, yeah, on the other side is the logo, by the way.
Well, that says Twitch, and then this side has the. I can't see it.
The icon is behind your ear. Yeah,
is it?
Behind your headphone ear cup.
Oops. Legacy podcaster. All right. Okay, so. And then Boomer gets her stitches out today, so that's exciting. Today's the day. Stitches out. Well, I shouldn't call them stitches. I'm sorry. Giant metal freaking clamps or whatever the hell they put in a dog's butt. Those are coming out today. Staples. Yeah. So that's coming out. And then
it'd be great if they just used like a sterilized staple remover. Just click, 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 click.
There you go. There's an idea. Brian has the idea. Let's do that idea. And then here's the thing I need to complain about, and then we're going to move on to a very important announcement for people interested in Vegas in April. So here's the deal.
Yes.
Yesterday, I get the mail. I swindled. I figured out a way to get a new Kindle Paperwhite, which I love my Kindle. I read all the time at night. I figured out a way to finagle one of those, the brand new one that's waterproof, so that it only cost me $3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the way I did it was a combination of points I had built up on an American Express card plus, can't remember what else, I can't remember what it was. But it wasn't a credit card. I didn't sign up for a credit card to get 70 off or any of that. I just did it. Now, the mistake I made is the one I bought I thought was on sale, and I thought it was the main flagship one, but it was actually the ad-supported one. That's fine. All it does is when you're not using it, it has instead of a cool little wallpaper on your thing, it has like you should read this book, and they're always geared to what you're reading, so there's a lot of science fiction and fantasy on there.
It's no big deal. It's not like
fine.
Watch this ad to read the next page of your book.
Right. There's none of that, which is great. I don't want that. So that was a little bit of a bummer. But here's the thing. So yesterday I'm like, okay, that's coming today. I want to make sure I get that, and nobody swipes it off the porch and all that. Get a notification on my phone. I check it. It says, "Hey, we've dropped off your unit there." And in the notes it says, "Left in the customer's mailbox." I'm like, well, that's a little weird, but okay. You must have done this by USPS because a UPS guy wouldn't do that.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you get, if it's small enough, then somehow the Amazon thing switches over to USPS and you just get the notification of that.
Yeah, which is fine. It's not a problem for me normally, but I'm here to tell you, I think Newman is my mailman. Okay. My mailman person, whatever you call him now these days, he sucks. He freaking sucks. He does this all the time. He's always giving me somebody else's mail, or they're getting my mail. And I know this is a problem everywhere, and blah blah blah. And we have some listeners who are mail carriers who would say, "Oh, I don't know what's wrong with your area." I agree. Come to me. Come live here and be with me. I would happily have you as my mail carrier because this guy is a doughhead. So he says he puts it in the box. I go out there to check. Sure enough, there's a box. Sweet. It's about this big. About what I expect. Okay. I grab it, and it doesn't occur to me that there's no Amazon smile on it. But I thought, whatever. It's just a box. And it's freezing out. I'm not really paying attention to details. So I grab it, and I'm running into the house like a football player with a ball under his arms.
Sure.
I get into the house, and I walk in. I'm not paying attention to anything. I didn't read the box. Didn't do anything. I thought it was just mine. I open it up, and in there is a child's CPAP. Okay, not a man one like you have, but like a kid's one for kids who have trouble.
Right.
And I went, that's not a Kindle.
I've been Kindle swindled.
Yeah, that's not a Kindle at all. I turn the flat back over, and it says, shipped by some medical ding dong, and then to a different person, to somebody named Jill. I'm Jill. Like, I'm not Jill. I'm Barry, right? So I'm thinking, this isn't for me. This is not for me. So I know who this Jill person is, though. So I got lucky in that regard. So at the very least, I can give her
next
her
door
thing.
neighbor, or or
she's in the townhouse across the way over there.
Okay.
So I text her and I say, hey, it's actually her kid's name is Jill. Her name is different. So I texted her and I said, hey, Mia, I need to, I got your box. I just want you to know I got a box of yours. You want me to bring it over? I don't have a problem bringing it over. And she says, oh, I'm going to be up and around anyway, so don't worry about it. I'll figure out a way to come get it. And she goes, and she didn't even ask what it was. And so I was fine. I was like, all right, well, whatever. I guess I'll call Amazon and tell them they jacked this up, and who knows where my box is. She comes to the door, kink, 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 and Oksana opens it, and she got a box in her hand like this. And I'm like, oh, what's that? She goes, I think this is yours, and that's mine. I'm like, oh, my gosh. So they put mine in hers. I guess I got lucky that way because, we could just do the exchange.
No kidding, because yours could have been like 4 houses down in somebody else's. And
yeah.
So I mean, they just get a little thing. So when it gets when your mail gets sorted, I think there's a little card or something that goes with it that says this person has a package. And sometimes they're like rubber banded together, and so you get your clump of mail with a box or a little card that says this person has a package. So he apparently looked, oh yeah, okay, package for Scott Johnson's address. Reaches in the back, grabs the one that he thinks is yours, and then just basically does the reverse for the other one, or gets the the address is confused. Are your addresses like one digit off or something?
No, they're not even that close. I mean, they're in the same. I guess it's the same street, but other than that, sells everybody in that because we have one of the we have ours in the kind of a collected box kind of thing for a bunch of the neighbors, not a single, it's not just a mailbox outside the house, and so it's like an apartment that way. I guess the way apartments would do it. So it feels like he's just a bad mailman.
Yeah,
like what you're describing, I get it, but that makes you a bad mailman.
Bad mailman.
Yeah, bad mailman.
By the way, opening somebody else's mail, Scott, is a federal offense.
It is a
this
federal
might be the
crime.
First time.
It's a federal crime.
This might be the first podcast where somebody's admitted to committing a federal crime.
Right. Right. And I opened up that thing and I went, oh, this isn't mine. And at the end of it, I went, oh my gosh, I've opened their mail. Not just their mail, their package.
I've done that too.
What if this is a sensitive thing? What if this was like somebody's ashes or a freaking, I don't know, like a big sex toy or something? Not what it would be, but, what if it was...
Got your sex toy.
It's right over here. I looked at it for a minute, handled it.
Hey, Mia, did your husband order a fleshlight?
But it's almost worse because it's a little kid's needed medical device.
Right.
And so, oh my gosh. So I said to her, I'm so sorry for opening this. I go, I really just thought it was mine and I was absentmindedly just tearing through it. I really was. Yeah. I didn't even look. I didn't bother to look because I just, okay, here it is.
You got the notification that it had been delivered. You knew it was in the box. Sure.
Yeah. All that stuff led to that. But yeah, I guess technically, hopefully they'll go easy on me, but I guess I did commit a felony of tearing that box open.
No.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Oh, no.
I'm going to get a room next to Manafort, and it's going to be great.
There you go.
All right, so there's that. Hey, we got a big announcement. Oh, should I have music? Should I have music for this? Hold on. I should have something cool for this. How about this one? Hold on. Okay, here we go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's good announcement music.
Yeah, that's intense. It's almost like... Actually, it sounds a lot like... Terminator, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It might be. All right, Brian, you do the honors. What are we announcing? What's happening?
All right, so we've already, of course, announced that our event, the event of the. I'm pulling up the announcements page because I want to get everything right here. That the TMS Vegas meetup and live TMS and all that stuff is taking place April 20. See, now this is 26th and 27th, isn't it? The 27th and 28th. This is where it's like.
No, I think it's 26th, 27th.
Thursday.
Let me make sure. I'll make sure.
You're right. Yes, the 26th and 27th. Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday. That is correct.
Good. I want to make sure that was correct. All right. So April 26th, 27th in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Plaza Hotel. We now have our group code for rooms at the Plaza. That code is SPTMS19. That's SPTMS19. I typed it wrong in our show notes, so I'm glad I looked.
I'm glad you did too.
Because I put 2019, and oh my God,
oops.
That would give you triple rates. That would make your rooms cost 3 times as much because that's the
that's how they get you.
The postal workers meeting for mail swaps.
That's right.
So here's the deal. If you're part of the Discord, great. All the information's in the Discord in the announcements tab. If you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord, and somebody will probably put that information in chat, and I can read that, what the shortcut to get into the Discord is. But if you don't want to be in the Discord, totally fine. Here's the deal. You'll either call the downtown or the Plaza Hotel Casino, Las Vegas, at 1-800-634-6575 and make your reservation that way. Or if you like doing things online, and who doesn't, go to plazahotelcasino.com and go to reservations, book your room, enter in the arrival date, number of nights, blah, 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 and then the promo code that I just gave you, which is SPTMS19.
Now, quick note. Later today, I can't tell you exactly when, not too long after the show, actually, there will be a web link up at frogpants.com/TMSVegas that will have all of this information as well. So if you're like, I don't remember anything Brian said, we'll have the code, the link to the sites, the link to the Discord, like all of it will be in one place, and we'll add anything there needed as we move forward with this thing. So,
and I do need to update the because we've got our website vivatmsvegas.com. I need to put stuff up there as well, and I've got.
Oh, I forgot we had that.
Yeah, we have that. It's got a picture of Biff Tannen's Pleasure Paradise, which is the Back to the Future 2 reversioning of the plaza.
Yeah, actually, maybe we just update this site. This is maybe the thing to do.
I think that's what we do. Yes, Viva TMS.
Right now it says countdown timer says 0, and it's
I
2018.
know it should be negative numbers.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. So Brian will fix all that. And,
I'll fix all that, and that'll be done today. So now, before you start saying, all right, well, let's make reservations to go see Ka on Friday afternoon, and then we'll make reservations, do this and that and this. Don't make any plans. Don't lock anything down as far as what you're doing those 2 days, because we are working on hopefully some really cool stuff. We're working on one thing that's really cool. If that thing doesn't happen, then I've got other cool things in the pipeline behind it.
Right.
So
right.
There will be cool stuff going on, but until you know what's going on, don't make any reservations that you can't change or cancel.
Cross your fingers for the pyramid scheme we talked about pre-show.
That's right. I love it.
Yeah, because it could be really rad. Like
it really could be amazing.
We're seeing what we can do there.
Let's see. I think we're still going to do a meetup. We're going to still try and do a meetup at Millennium Fandom Bar, but we don't know which night that's going to be because of the pyramid scheme.
Right.
Again, just hold on. And tickets will be announced shortly, which obviously will also.
Oh yeah, we'll let you guys know about tickets very soon.
Exactly.
And what comes with them and blah blah blah. So part of that is dependent on the pyramid scheme. So there's a few things. There are a few balls in the air. But when those balls land, we'll know better. But this is a chance for you to lock in your stay so that you're good to go. Exactly. And worst case scenario, it's just me and Brian pulling lint out of our belly button somewhere in a bar, and there's your weekend. It doesn't matter. You're still locked in. You're still there. So
for 2 whole hours. Yes, exactly.
So get your damn tickets. Or not tickets. Get your damn hotel things done. And that code again is SPTMS19. All right.
Cool.
And Viva TMS Vegas will be up later, right? You'll do that.
Yes.
Okay.
I will fix that this afternoon.
So forget all that crap I said earlier about that other web link. It's going to be there. Okay. Also, you need to make a correction on your tea.
I do need to make a correction. So today, all right, I made the mistake of referring to the Good Morning Vietnam as being the coffee replacement. The Good Morning Vietnam is excellent. It is a collection of Vietnamese black teas from small estates through a cooperative. And it is indeed orange pico grade, but it is about 1/3 the caffeine of coffee, which explains why right after the show, I just collapsed on the floor and fell asleep for about 4 hours.
It just wasn't enough.
Just was not enough to keep the machine moving.
Okay.
Today, I am drinking the Gift of the Valenwood Green Wayusa. Now, this is a green tea. It tastes just like green tea. It's from an Ecuadorian group of cooperative estates, which is why I got it confused. Has just as much caffeine as coffee, which is 80 to 90 milligrams of caffeine per cup.
Yeah.
And is a smooth green tea deliciousness. Gift of the Valenwood.
Nice. All right.
So
once again,
if you're looking for the tea I was talking about yesterday, that is Good Morning Vietnam. It's still excellent, and this one is did I said a Wayusa, right?
You
yes,
did.
I think green Wayusa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are all words that sound like real words. I don't know.
Right. Way less acidic.
Yeah.
Than coffee. Allura for real.
Yeah.
Allura for real. Or you could just drink coffee. Yeah, you could. But this is way less acidic. All right.
Yeah.
Better for you.
Yeah, it's better for you. It's nice. It's nice tea, and Phoenix Pearl tea is awesome. And
yes, and Gwen is awesome. She's great, and she is
great.
She corrected me very gently and nicely today via email, like, hey, just want to quickly correct something you said.
Sure. Well, we're all about corrections. We own our mistakes here on TMS.
Exactly.
By the way, I should say she is very quickly learning how terrible my schedule is, because I'm trying to work on some stuff with her via for There Will Be Dungeons, and I'm all over the place. If I'm not recording, I'm doing another thing. If I'm not doing that, I'm on the phone with somebody. It's like a constant thing. So I feel like I'm always leaving her hanging, and I promise I'm not. It's just My schedule sucks. Like my mailman. Sucks. So there you go. All right. Well, this is all well and good. We've had some good conversation. We've talked a lot. But what really matters now is this.
This is your radio newscaster with another exclusive, sensational summary of world and local events.
It's the news brought to you by...
finally, America's Next Top Podcaster. We've been recording. We've actually been, the show's been being recorded for about 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks. And I'm happy to say the very first episode 0, is on the website at americasnexttoppodcaster.com. So you can listen to the reality show that features me and Scott and Jury and Tom and Nicole and behind the scenes with him and 12 awesome contestants that one by one will be picked off.
Yep.
Picked off.
There can only be one.
That's right. Go listen today to that first episode. I'm waiting for iTunes to pick up the feed, and then I'm going to have you all subscribe to it. And then we're going to really start the train rolling with all their great stuff, submissions, or their weekly entries are going to be on the feed. Every episode's going to be on the feed. And if you're a Kickstarter backer, you get all the behind the scenes stuff too, all the extra recordings of like the full interviews with Tom, the full recording sessions with me and Jury and Scott and Nicole and all that stuff. So
is Tom's training stuff on there as well? Will it be part of it?
That is turning into, I mean, as great as all the stuff in the show is, Tom's training stuff is some of the best podcasting I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It is like his advice is just brilliant, and coming to him with a little germ of an idea, a seed of an idea, and hearing Tom tell him what to do with it, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was a really good call on that to have him do that. It's been really fun to be involved with it. I mean, I knew it was going to be cool going in, but I have to admit, it has exceeded my expectations in terms of just how it feels. It feels great. It feels like a fun, cool thing, and you were right all along, Brian. You were right all along. So you guys should check it out. Go get it.
And we're not doing any of that lame editing that makes some other reality shows, lame.
Yeah, makes them lame. Exactly. And there won't be any. And the person leaving today will be, and then a long fake pause with different camera angles that are all BS that never happened during actual taping.
I kind of did do that a little bit.
But you can pause a little, you can just
I pause a little bit, yes. But there's no commercial, like going to a commercial like, all right, the person leaving the show this week will be, and then, hey, it's time to place your order for HelloFresh. Get delicious meals delivered to your door.
Sounds good right now. All right, so and one other thing, people can RSS this thing, I assume, if they don't want to do the iTunes bit, they can.
And that feed, I will tell you right now that feed is so glad you asked. So glad you asked, Scott. Thank you for asking that question.
No problem.
If you go to just plug into your favorite podcast client, feeds.feedburner.com/ANTP for America's Next Top Podcaster.
And that's linked on the site.
Feeds.feedburner.com. It will be.
Okay.
Yes.
Very nice. Sorry.
It just happened this morning.
Oh, it did? Oh, good.
Yes.
All right. It's up there now. Up now.
No. Yes, it will be, Scott.
Yes, and when you hear this episode, unless you're live, it's up.
That's right, exactly.
It's up now. All right. Hey, Sweetheart's candy won't be yours this Valentine's Day.
Do you mean that garbagey, chalky little candy with sayings that are supposed to sound hip to the youth of today is not going to be around this year?
Those are the ones. Well, they're the candy's being made, but here's the deal. Valentine's Day is quickly approaching, as you know. If you're planning on giving your family or friends these iconic heart conversation candies, we're sorry to break your heart, but you'll need to find something else to hand out. Sweetheart's the heart-shaped candies that have sayings like love you, cutie pie, and ooh la la. Will not be produced this year, according to the Spangler Candy Company, who purchased Sweethearts and Necco wafers in 2018. Is there a worse candy than Necco wafers? I don't think so.
There is not a worse candy than Necco wafers. Like, the best use of Necco wafers is when you lose one of the pieces in your really cheap cardboard checkers set, and you can just replace it with Necco wafers.
Yeah.
Just don't put them in your mouth.
Yeah. Ferrets use them for coasters when people come visit. They're awful. Terrible candy.
Ferret coasters.
Yep. That sounds like something Colonel Potter would yell. Ferret coasters, he'd say.
I'm locking in that show title, by the way.
Oh, good.
Boom.
Ferret coasters. Well done. It says, we know this is heartbreaking news, especially for those states whose favorite Valentine's candy is Sweethearts. It's not, though. No one says this. But don't cry too much because Sweethearts will relaunch sometime in 2020 during its Valentine's season. Quote, so this is a quote from the company, Sweethearts and Necco wafers are iconic brands with rich 100-year plus histories. Spangler.
I feel like Necco wafers have been around for 100 years because it's no one ever eats them, so they just sit around for 100 years.
Yeah, they'll last. They're like Twinkies. They'll just exist. There's no question about it. This is from Spangler Chairman and CEO Kirk Vashaw. He also says, we are particularly excited about the Sweethearts brand. Many people have memories of sorting through their boxes of Sweethearts to find just the right message to share. Hey, I'll bet you there's about 20 off-brands of this stupid stuff. So just go get them there.
Yeah, Sweet Tarts makes far better little heart-shaped candies without the stupid sayings on them that, I'm waiting for the one that says, mash and subscribe that like button. Or mash that subscribe button. Yeah.
You know what? Neccos are bad when a common Tums tastes better. You know what I mean? Like just something to stop your acid reflux.
You have to wash it down with some Pepto-Bismol just to get that Necco taste out of your mouth.
To get rid of the Necco taste. They're terrible. Oh my gosh, why do they exist? I don't understand it. Yeah. Maybe Sam Elliott could tell me because he's been talking. Sam Elliott on his first Oscar nomination. His quote is, they said, hey, how do you feel about that? And he went, it's about effing time, he says.
It's about effing time. You really got to nasal up the...
Why is Mr. Howell all of a sudden?
It's about effing time. Sometimes there's a dude.
Oh my Lord.
It is the nasal howl. It's just the nasal howl with a drawl instead of with the New England accent.
Yeah,
is what it is.
That's pretty good. He says, well, I think the thing off the top of my head would be, it ain't right, Wyatt. No, he says, it's about effing time, jokes Sam Elliott. In the wake of his first ever Oscar nomination this morning for a supporting role in Warner Brothers' A Star is Born. Beyond that, it's really about the work. It's just about the creative process. It's great to be recognized for that. I'll take comfort in that. That's what it's really about, he says. He's awesome and should have been nominated 1,000 times ago. And he's also one of these guys. It doesn't matter how old he gets. Mm-hmm. You just think he's the coolest dude in the room. It just doesn't matter. He's in his 80s, right?
He's the guy...
70s at least.
Yeah, at least 70s.
I think maybe... I got to look it up. I don't know how old he is. My phone could tell me.
74.
74. All right. That's a nice, 74. Ripe old age. It looks like he's seen some stuff. Just a rough-looking cowboy type dude. And he deserves something. After all this frickin' time, he deserves something.
His middle name is Pack.
Shut up. Sam Pack Elliott.
Pack Elliott. I wish Samuel Pack Elliott. I wish that was Peckinpah. Samuel Peckinpah.
Peckinpah Elliott would be perfect. His career started in 1969 with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. That's an awesome place to start. Mm-hmm. He gained somewhat iconic status as a mainstay of both big and small screens. Most recently received critical acclaim as Lee Hayden's The Hero. And yet in 50 years, he has not been nominated. Elliott's first or best supporting nod is one of a slew from the Academy for Bradley Cooper's directorial debut of A Star is Born. On the list are Best Picture, Actor for Cooper, Actress for Gaga, and Original Song Gaga and Mark Ronson. As Bobby, Elliott plays brother to Cooper's ill-fated country singer Jackson Maine, a character whose voice Cooper famously borrowed from Elliott. Yeah, good. Yes!
Yeah, he deserves all this stuff.
I take comfort in that.
It is funny to think that he's playing Bradley Cooper's older brother in A Star is Born and not his dad. Like, you're thinking, oh, yeah, it's got to be his dad. But
no, just his older brother. It's like, what did I watch? Oh, again, Kim's watching Blue Bloods, and it hit me the other night. They got the great-grandpa in the house. Then they got grandpa, who's played by Tom Selleck. And then they have the kids and then the kids. And he's supposed to be his dad, right? So the great grandpa is supposed to be Tom Selleck's dad, and he looks like it. He looks like his father. He looks about like an age of a guy who would be that much older than Tom Selleck. I went and looked it up. He's 4 years younger. Tom Selleck is only 4 years younger than this guy. So the idea is that he had Tom Selleck when he was 4. That's amazing.
That's crazy. I think it's just because he has this look that he has had. Like, he got to this certain age, right around the time of, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of a good film, like a good 80s, 90s stage in his filmography, and just stay right there, like Roadhouse. I'm looking at his thing right now. Once he got to Roadhouse in 1989, be nice until it's time not to be nice.
It still sounds like it sounds a lot like Mr. Howell. You can't help it.
I got to work. I'm workshopping it.
Yeah.
But he just kind of hovered in that age range right there.
Yeah.
He stopped at Roadhouse. So he can play all these different age characters.
Right.
By the way, he's married to Catherine Ross, who was the daughter, Mrs. Robin, like the daughter Robinson.
Oh. But wait, Mrs. Ross.
Catherine Ross.
Oh, Catherine Ross.
Yes, from the Graduate.
Right. Okay. That was a long time ago.
Not the elder Mrs. Robinson, but the younger.
Oh, the younger. Yeah. Not the one he was, sure. The one that would be concerned about mom's affair with the young guy.
Right.
That one.
Right.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen any of that.
Yeah.
All right. Look at this here. Billionaire Ken Griffin, not to be confused with Ken Griffith Jr.
No, let's not confuse those two.
No, they're a different race. This has nothing to do with baseball. This is just a rich guy.
Griffey, not Griffith, by the way.
Oh, did I say Griffith?
You say Griffith?
Ken Griffith, did
Griffey.
Is it Griffey?
Griffey.
Ken Griffey. Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I had the video game and everything. What's wrong with me? Anyway, a billionaire, Ken Griffin. He's a hedge fund billionaire, which probably means, I don't know what they do. What do they do? What do hedge funds do? They just sit around going, I think that'll do good, and then they make a bunch of money? I don't know. What do they do?
And I'm not even going to speculate because I feel like I'm going to get it wrong, whatever it is.
I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, he bought a New
York.
I
just know they can be good.
He just bought the most expensive U.S. home ever sold, ever in the history of the country.
Oh, wow.
$238 million for a New York penthouse that overlooks Central Park. $238 million for one freaking apartment. Well, it's not an apartment, but it's not. I'm sure it's beyond nice. I'm sure it's the nicest place you can get, but it sure better be if it's the most expensive home ever sold in the country in the history of these United States.
I know. I want to see what this place looks like inside, right? Because it better be like a multi-floor penthouse. Like I've got the top 5 floors of this building.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hedge fund billionaire Ken Griffin closed the deal to buy the most expensive home ever sold. Like I said, it's in New York. It's a penthouse, and it overlooks Central Park. The deal is the largest in his recent $700 million global real estate shopping spree, believed to be the largest ever for a U.S. billionaire. Over the past few years, the founder and CEO of Citadel. Do I know who that is? Who's Citadel?
I don't know. Just some company.
Right. Anyway.
Some
He bought the most expensive homes that was available in Chicago, Miami, and now New York. Why do that? I don't know. Maybe these are just investments. Maybe he's not going to live there. Anyway, he has spent more than $200 million to buy land in Palm Beach, Florida, for a home he plans to build there. And this week, news broke that he purchased $122 million in London, or a property in London, which is the most expensive sale in that city in a decade. Okay, I would just say, this is easy for me to say now, because I'm not this guy. If I was this guy, though, I feel like I'd give more money away. Because what's the point of having a house in the biggest house, the most money spent on that house in every major city in the country or the world? What's the point of that?
Right.
What value is that? I mean, if you fly to London, where do you want to stay? Oh, we'll stay at my palatial $130 million freaking giant thing. We're only here for the weekend, though. Like, it just feels like a colossal waste of money. Like, just go spend it on, I don't know, go find some poor guy and give him $20,000 and say, get your life together. And if he doesn't, oh, well, it's less money to lose. I don't know.
Well, that's a good tax write-off, too. Yeah, I mean, it feels like this is, he's just got to be conducting a lot of business in those cities, right? Like, he's got to go to London to do his deal there, and he's got to go to, Miami or wherever it was. It was New York, Miami, London.
And New York, yeah. Or those three, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, Chicago was the other one.
Chicago, right. So...
But you could. But if it was me and you...
we would do things differently.
Oh, sure. I would totally do things different.
No, you know what we do? We would have places. Here's what we would buy. We would buy places in each of those cities to do big old meetups in, right? Like we'd get a little penthouse in Chicago. All right, the Chicago TMS meetup is happening, and we've already got the location, so we don't need to fork over any money for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then just, I don't know, give away some money. Like do Bill Gates stuff or something. This is just ridiculous to me.
Yeah, right. Get into some philanthropy for sure. And who knows? Maybe he does.
Well, maybe. $238 million for a house? It's just, come on. You don't need it. There's so much other cool.
Scott. Those are so much more expensive than Playboy.
They need to be taxed hard. I agree, Tezoriel. Tax them. They're not paying enough taxes. They got a million ways out of having to pay taxes as it is. They keep getting more. They're just going to ruin everything, these guys. All right. Anyway, so there's that. Good times from the rich guy. All right, now we got a controversy in football.
Okay. All right.
Do you care about either of these? Well, you want to see the Patriots lose, but do you care about?
I just want to see the Patriots lose.
Okay.
We don't like Kansas City here, so seeing them lose is just fine with me.
Yeah, I'd be all right with it.
Yeah.
As well, because I don't like them. But
they're the rivals of the Denver Broncos. It's not like we don't like the people on the team. It's just like, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, shaking my fist because you're the the rivals of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
But they lost, so that's good. That's just fine.
It's fine that they did. But here's the deal. There's a big question floating around. Did a fan, meaning a attendee at the AFC Championship game, point a laser pointer in Tom Brady's face while they were playing? That's the question right now. And according to NBCSportsBoston.com, where this allegedly first showed up, that is maybe what happened. And, crowds get rowdy. People do dumb stuff sometimes. Did somebody try? Because this could hurt your vision. This could be a bad thing. You're not supposed to do this.
Yeah, especially if it's like one of those really bright green ones.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm totally, this video, it is one of the green ones, and somebody's just like totally going, like all over his mask and his...
Yeah. Here, I'm going to play this, chat, so you can see.
Like you can see it all over his helmet and his jersey and stuff.
All right, here we go. Yep, you can see it. Yeah, somebody's totally doing that. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
That's very not cool. Like that's, as much as I don't like Tom Brady, and again, it's just a matter of, all right, retire Tom. Let somebody else have the limelight for a while.
Yeah. Oh no, I know.
It could be a jackanape.
The official the bad play call the bad reffing is a whole nother issue for that game. Apparently that's I didn't see the game, so I don't know.
No, that's a different game. That was the Saints Rams game.
Was that the Saints Rams game? Okay.
That was the Saints Rams game, and it was a no call. It was clearly a pass interference, and it didn't get called. And even the NFL is stepping back and saying, "Oh, yeah, we blew it. Totally should have called that."
That must suck for
there's
everybody.
So much anger and controversy and...
Well, the thing about lasers in the eyes... All right.
Oh, Icor says the Patriots game also had bad refs. Yeah, but that's not the bad reffing in the Patriots game wasn't the big controversy thing that's been going on.
Sure. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you shouldn't do this. Like, I remember being in high school and you go to a movie, and I remember we were at a movie and some kid was throwing wet skinned cherries at the screen.
Oh.
Yeah. And I remember thinking...
Jackassery.
I know.
It's like such jackassery.
I know. I was so pissed. I remember that sucked. And then I remember a kind of a run in the early 2000s when you'd go to a movie and somebody would bring a freaking laser pointer and screw around with the screen.
Yeah.
I hate that. The only thing,
exactly.
Here's what laser pointers are for, you guys. Here's literally what they're for. It's to say, number one, hey, cool, humanity made a laser that doesn't burn you. That's cool. And then number 2, make your cat do funny stuff. That's it.
Well, and it's also for showing the expected profits for the fourth quarter when you're in the boardroom and you've got your PowerPoint slide up on the wall. That's
Sure.
really when it needs to be done.
Sure.
And even then, you're still probably better off just using the little stylus and drawing a circle around those fourth quarter projections.
Yeah, I just don't understand this idea that you would want to put somebody's eyes in harm, even if you hate Brady. I don't care if you hate him or not. Like, This is the whole thing. People you really despise in this world, with the exception of, like, that whole, if you could go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler? I hate that question. Because it's based on a premise that's literally 100% never possible. You'll never be able to do this. So you can only play with it in hypothetical terms that should be treated lightly. No one should ever be treated too seriously for that question. Because it's stupid. Right. It's like, oh, well, if you could go back in time, would you? Oh, I don't know. I really like babies. You wouldn't kill baby Hitler?
You would let all those people die?
You're a Nazi. Or on the other side, people saying, well, you wouldn't know because he's still a baby and he got choices to make and all that. I hate that question. It sucks. It's not a good question. So for me, I don't care how bad you hate somebody, putting a thing out there in the field to blind the dude, even if you think it's just going to distract him. There's probably some 14-year-old kid, and this is the problem we live in today. Whenever this stuff happens, I need to keep in mind that whenever weird stuff like this happens, it's almost always some a-hole kid. It's always some 15-year-old. It's not some 49-year-old who's there going, watch this. I don't think they're doing that.
No.
Anyway.
I know, and this is going to be a new tough thing that they have to. This is the harder thing for them to like track with metal detectors and stuff when people want to bring a laser pointer to a football game. Yeah. So it's going to this is just going to cause even more hassle of like, all right, now you can't even bring a clear backpack. You've got to bring like a Ziploc bag with your wallet and your phone in it, and that's it.
Yeah. Would you? Okay, Brian. Here's a hypothetical.
Sure.
You can go back in time to that. You always see that speech where Hitler's going, he's up there freaking out, and moving his hair away.
Wasn't that the 1936 Olympics or something? 1932. Anyway. Yeah.
Whatever it was. Yeah. I don't even know it was Olympics. That's interesting. But anyway, he's up there freaking out, wiping his hair back and yelping at the thing, and people are going Jawohl and screaming and doing the things and all that.
Right.
Would you take a laser pointer to that crowd and go right there in Hitler's eyes while he's talking?
Would you laser Hitler in the face?
Yeah. Would you? Would you take a green laser to Hitler's face while you're at the thing?
Yes, I would. Yes. You'd laser baby Hitler?
Well, you'd be a lasering adult Hitler, and you'd
lasering adult Hitler. I just wanted to just start the hashtag train going. Like, you'd laser baby Hitler? Listen, dude, we are all a product of our surroundings and our upbringing. So would I go back and kill baby Hitler? No. But I'd go back, and while Hitler was a baby, I would talk to his parents and say, hey, Mama and Dada Hitler, Pops and Gizmo Hitler.
Yeah. I know a thing that's going to happen. Here's a delicious
strudel that came from the nice Jewish family down the street. They wanted me to bring this up to you.
Yeah.
And here's this delicious strudel, and have a nice day.
Yeah. Goodbye. And then next thing you hear is choking, and you're good.
No, it's even worse.
It is worse, because then you've killed Hitler's parents. They didn't do anything wrong, as far as I know. They were all right. Weren't they okay?
I just gave him a nice strudel and told us from the Jewish family up the street. I didn't know that they would try and not chew it. I didn't know they would swallow it and not have some Glühwein to wash it down with.
I'm just trying to imagine, though, you're at that speech, and he's up there, right? And you're just suddenly there's a little green dot, and he's
green light going over.
Just doing this, like flapping it away, like little angry Hitler.
That would be great, like witchcraft. Like, what would they think? What would they think of a laser pointer in 1936?
Oh, they'd burn you like a witch or something, wouldn't they? What would they do?
Totally. Yeah.
They'd think you have some hot new technology, and you're going to destroy the world with it. I'd love that idea. I'd love going back, go back to the 50s with a cell phone. Just take my phone.
Especially innocuous tech, right? Like a cell phone or a laser pointer or something.
Or even just I don't know, let's see.
Except they're not going to have cell phone, you're not going to have cell towers or a cell network back in 1936. So basically, all you're going to be able to do is show them how you can play Flappy Bird.
Yeah, it's whatever's on your phone that doesn't need a connection.
Right, exactly.
But still, just what that would look like magic, swiping things
Look,
and
I've
moving.
downloaded Bird Box to my smartphone. We can watch this movie.
Here's what I'd want to do. I'd want to go back in time to, let's say, 1945, and just walk up to a random guy in the streets of New York, and he'll stand there and he's looking at me, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to walk up to him with this envelope, and he's going to say, ooh, a black envelope, I wonder what this is. And I'm going to pull this out, and right in his face, very slowly, I'm going to hold the Diablo 2 disc right in his face.
I thought you're going to give him an AOL subscription disc.
Yeah, that'd even be better. But he would not know what the hell this is. This is like an alien device, right?
Right.
Oh, it'd be so much fun to do that. You'd have to have the rules with that time travel would have to be they can't
Guess what's
hurt you.
got in about 10 years? You get the same reaction from somebody. What the heck is that big flat silver thing?
That's true. That's actually true. CDs are very quickly going the cassette route. Although I've noticed a big resurgence in cassette stuff. My daughter wants to buy a bunch of freaking Walkman style crap, and I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, come on, people. All right, vinyl, sure, you've got a different sound with the crackles and the pops and stuff, and a different warmth than you do with CDs. I can get behind vinyl. Cassettes were a pain in the butt. Like, oh, I'd like to listen to the fourth song on that cassette. Okay, hold on, let me fast forward. Oh, I went too far. Let me rewind. Oh, went too far. All right, let me fast forward. Oh, went too far.
No, it sucked. You had to turn it over when you got halfway done. It sucked. It was never good. Exactly. We should not delude ourselves into thinking otherwise. And they had a hit. Everything had a hiss. I don't care if you had noise reduction. I don't care how fancy your deck was. You still had a little in the background, no matter what you did.
Exactly.
Tapes were stupid. They were just these overly complicated, reel-to-reel like nightmares. Why are we? Oh, why? I don't like it. Anyway, but I bought a lot of them.
I can't get behind that, bub.
It's still just like that, Mr. Howell.
Still Howell? You're still hearing Howell?
I'm still hearing Mr. Howell. There's something about the nasal part.
I'm gonna go watch Roadhouse as soon as we're done here, and and then I'm gonna perfect my.
Let me know.
My Sam Elliott.
First thing you do is you let me know how that goes. All right.
Sometimes you're the bear. Sometimes the bear eats you.
Well, that's closer. You're getting better already.
Good. All right, see?
Break time. When we come back, Wendy will be here, my sister. I think we're going to talk about a fairly controversial topic today.
I saw that topic, and sure.
This is actually from her, that text you read there. So she's got some thoughts and feelings about, let's call it, the idea that's floating around these days of toxic masculinity. Now, before a few of you guys go, "Get him out of here, you freaking blah, blah, blah," just calm down for a second. Let's see what she has to say, okay? I'm a man. Brian's a man. We're the best a man can get. Let's find out from Wendy what that means, okay? Just hang in there.
The entire time that we're talking to Wendy, I will be shaving.
Yeah, of course you will.
Because now I couple toxic masculinity with a nice close shave.
Yeah.
So I can't separate the two now. They're forever linked together.
I flushed my shaver down the toilet and clogged it for a month. It was fantastic. All right, so we'll get to all that in a minute. Before that, though, a song in the middle from Brian Ibbett, please.
Yes. Oh, this is brand new. This is Australian songwriter Jess Ribeiro has just put up a new single called Stranger, which is out today, courtesy of Barely Dressed Records. This has been produced by Ben Edwards, who worked with Aldous Harding, Marlon Williams, and Julia Jacklin, and recorded as a three-piece with Dave Muddle, who worked with Courtney Barnett. We love Courtney Barnett. I love Courtney Barnett, speaking of Australian musicians. The brand new song is available now to listen to via her YouTube and her SoundCloud, and the EP album is going to be forthcoming. Here is Jess Ribeiro and the song Stranger.
All right, we'll see you on the other side.
Guys, I don't know what's wrong with my cat. Why does he look like that? What is wrong?
The morning stream. Woof, 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 woof.
That lady at the end, by the way, is that lady gets the finger in her mouth. Have you seen this? You sent it to me.
It's the grandma.
Yeah,
exactly. I was going to say.
Yeah, you sent that to me. It's the greatest video the internet ever produced.
I have been learning about all of the current dank memes, Scott.
What? Wow.
Because while I'm on the Recumbent bike, I've got the Oculus Go on my face, which I don't need to use that. I mean, there's an app called Neverthink, which you can have on the Oculus Go. You can have it on your iPad. I think I used as my app Slappy recommendation a while back. And basically, it will just cycle through the current hot meme videos. And right now, one of the biggest meme videos is one that still cracks me up. It's this woman live streaming her playing of the game or watching somebody else play the game. Last of Us.
Oh, okay.
And there's that Last of Us
rabbit.
where the rabbit gets shot, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, that's the cutest effing thing I've ever seen in my entire life," and she's tearing up, and then it's the rabbit gets the arrow through, and she goes, "Ah!"
Yeah.
And everybody, they've been putting that clip on everything.
Yeah, it's really good what they've been doing with that one.
It really is, yeah.
Raw meme, primordial material, that thing.
It really, it can be used for so much.
What's the service you're using? What's it called?
It's called Neverthink. It's an app called Neverthink, and I feel like it's just frosting. I'm not getting anything meaningful or valuable or anything out of it. It's
yeah, but if you're exercising on some equipment, yes, that's a great way to pass the time.
It absolutely makes time go by really fast. I'm not reading a book. I'm not watching a movie. I'm not improving myself in any way, shape, or form mentally while I'm hopefully improving myself physically.
Right. I love it. You're degrading your mental physique as you are improving your physical physique.
That's right. Exactly. Yes.
I love it. All right.
Anyway,
well, that's fantastic.
So Neverthink is the app. Get that. It is. It's great. And you will see so many videos that include her and Big Chunga, which is the fat Bugs Bunny.
Oh, yeah, of course. Everyone loves Big Chunga.
Big Chunga.
Yeah, it's a good rap name, too.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hi, Wendy.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, freezing.
Why? Oh, because you're in Minnesota. What am I thinking?
3 degrees today.
Yeah. See, I knew it was coming. Eventually, you would actually feel the pain of living in the Middle West or the Midwest.
Do you have heat in your house?
No. Just we don't even have doors. No, yeah, we do. It's fine. It's fine, but it feels like -18. So if you go outside, it feels.
Is it a wind chill?
The real feel? That's the real feel.
Ah, the real feel.
It's there. There's a lot of wind, and it's like it's Arctic. Woo!
Yeah.
Fun.
We're not having the warmest of weather either, but I bet it's better than there. I think we're at 22 today or something as a high, which is okay. That's in imperial Fahrenheit. Is where I get that from.
Imperial.
Yes.
Celsius is the only smart way to do temperature. Have we all agree? Can we all just agree?
Celsius. Listen, metric's the only good way to do anything. Like, we're all wrong. I know I tease people all the time, tease the French about their space points, but it's just out of jealousy that we haven't fully embraced it. Everything I do these days, and Brian, I know you're the same with stuff you got to do for freelance and everything else. It's all metric. We're all doing nanometers and meters and micrometers and freaking centimeters and millimeters and all this stuff for the stuff I do for layouts and print and everything else. It's all metric. So what are we doing?
Right.
Well,
let's embrace it. Come on now.
Yeah.
The history of it's pretty interesting. Like, people have tried many times over, and it just...
I don't get it. It's a weird wall, isn't it, on that thing? Because
It is. And, we had a rocket or like a whatever explode because someone wrote 2 centimeters and Americans translated to 2 inches and bam.
I didn't know that. What was that, a shuttle thing or something?
I forget which one. Yeah, like that was a big deal. I forgot which one that was. Also, I had children in school in Sweden learning the metric system. It took a week of instruction. And then they come here and they're like, "Mom, this makes no sense. What is this? I don't understand."
Freaking inches
and
how many?
A year to learn it.
Yeah, how many hogs to the beaver's tail or whatever the dumb stuff we do. Yeah, I'm telling you, we got to fix it.
We blame the Brits.
This is a great piece of suggestion here. Walking Glitch in the chat room says, while the government is shut down, let's switch. They won't even know. We'll just switch it out.
Great idea.
There you go. Exactly. They come back and it's like, oh, was it always like this?
I guess it was. All right, good. Fine. Everybody back to work. Everyone go. Be back to work now. So everyone goes back to work and they're like, oh, it's the metric system. We liked it better anyway.
Right. Let's stop over at Subway for a 1.5 meter long sub.
Oh, yeah, that's the one thing. You can't do $5 footlongs anymore. It'd have to be $5 half a meter. No, that's
half a meter. I guess it would be yes, right?
Like
roughly.
a 0.4 meter.
0.4 meter, whatever it is. Yeah. Well,
I think
anyway.
Subway could handle it because really, bleh,
You know what? That's what it is. We have too many colloquial, like old phrases like "go the whole 9 yards" or "go the extra mile." Like no one says "go the extra kilometer." That's the problem.
No, I know. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know we've got phrases that we use now that are based on antiquated measurements. Like, oh yeah, 2 bits. I give my 2 bits for that. Or shaving haircut, 2 bits.
Oh, right.
You know, we still use that phrase, even though
it's quarters, even though it's 50 cents. Exactly. You know what? You're right. It's you don't hear 50 cent.
We can keep using those phrases. Don't worry.
Yeah, 50 Cent, the rapper, doesn't call himself 2 bits. The rapper, does he?
A half penny.
A hay
right,
penny.
exactly.
Old hay penny and his rap music. Anyway, well, it's good to have you here, and I'm sorry about the cold weather, but look, global cooling is what we're having, according to some people. So Wendy and I had a off-air quick email back and forth about, we got some cool feedback about a recent thing that we did. By the way, a lot of great feedback about the previous thing where we talked about a kid who's, not sure if they're going down the plagiaristic route with their art. And we heard from multiple teachers that the way we talked about it was the way that they have been trained to talk about it. Like we were right on cue. So I guess well done, Wendy. Your professionalism shone through there. But in the back and forth, you sent me a message back saying, "Hey, wondering if we could talk about mansplaining. I have a theory about the Gillette commercial and this commercial some company made in response." I didn't watch the response thing yet. I should have.
You should have.
We'll let you explain it. But here's the thing. That caused quite the stir. And when I saw the commercial, I had 2 thoughts. I went, yeah, dudes are kind of jerks, and this is it probably makes sense that we'd start talking about this more in other public forums, including advertising. I get it. And then part of me was like, Gillette, you're also in it for the money, so what you're doing is pandering a little bit, and I like the message, but I don't always trust. It's like when Johnson & Johnson does a commercial for, like, I don't know, baby powder. And the commercial's all, this beautiful child in my arms, and the music and the stuff. And it's like, at the end of the day, you're just trying to put powder on his bum. You know what I mean? So part of me doesn't buy any of that, and I always feel pandered to. So I was immediately in that mode of like, yeah, okay, well, I appreciate the messaging, but you're I know what your motives are. I'm not saying this is counter to what you would like the culture to be. I'm just saying you're trying to sell razors. So this will be a nice big bump for you, and it'll be a big controversy, and your sales will go up just like the Nike stuff did for what's his name. So I'm very, what's the word? I'm very I see this stuff and I get very cynical about it. But the message I like, right? Like generally I think the message is good. But holy cow, freaking everybody and their dog took a dump when that happened. Well, male.
Pretty sure not everybody.
All the men and their dogs and their male dogs. So, anyway.
Definitely not all the men.
No, probably not all the men. For some reason, Brian left his post. I don't know where he went.
Brian. He's out. He's like, I don't want to talk about man.
All this man talk made it. If he had to poo or something, I don't know where he went. But anyway, so to the point, you want to talk a little bit about that, and I think that would be a good topic in general. So let's get to it and see what we can make of it.
All right. So what I like to do, because I like this when other people do it, and I think it's a thing that is consistent with how I perceive myself and my character, is that I hear something or see something like immediately. I mean, I like that commercial. It made me tear up a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, like, men teaching their sons because their sons are watching. Like, that's a real principle. That's amazing, right? I know it's Gillette and it's razors and whatever. Anyway, and I liked it. And then I heard about all the controversy and I was like, I heard about the controversy, watched this thing, and then I was like, okay, I don't get it. And this isn't like, I don't want to just discount, like, oh, dude, because you're a douchebag, that's what. Like, I'm not a fan. I feel like that is all anyone does anymore. Yeah. I hate it. I feel like it is like the worst form, the most inane, uneducated form of dialogue. It's not dialogue. It's just insult. It's like playground antics, right? So I hate it. So I'm thinking, I could just discount that. And when we did the show, I had just barely seen it. So it was only a few minutes of thinking. So I thought about it. Thought about it all week. And then I had somebody email me and share their version of, their experience with the commercial.
Yeah.
And I know this person fairly well. So it was like, oh, yeah, explain this more. I want to know what you heard, what you saw.
Yeah.
Because I think for me watching it, I see, it's anti-bullying. It's, hey, men, be good examples to your kids. It's, hey, teach that sort of protecting others in this regard is a good thing, blah, blah. So I just kind of saw it I assume Gillette thought was face value. Maybe they thought this would happen. They thought they'd have the Nike response. I don't know.
Maybe, or maybe not. That's why I was kind of ambivalent. I was just like, well, this is an ad, so that's a baseline thing for me. But also, here's the question, or here's a question as you're going into this, because I just want to make sure I get this out.
Yeah.
I don't know how many men you know who are of an age where they need to shave that like being told what to do or that they're being wrong. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so let me, before you go, I will address that because this was my epiphany.
Yeah.
The response is complicated, and I will get into why it's complicated, and what I now understand having this dialogue with somebody else and spending a little time watching some other things, which I can talk about, to sort of really get it. Why isn't that sort of motivating? Why isn't that like endearing a little bit to see, a dad in front of his son stop other kids from, harming another child? Like, why would that bug you? Like, I didn't get it. Anyway, so I kept going sort of deeper down this thing and trying to figure it out. And there are reasons. But the overarching thing is this. The answer is mansplaining. This is the first time I've seen men mansplain to.
Oh.
So let's...
Gay mansplain too. Okay,
I hadn't considered that. There's a whole flip going on.
It is. Okay. And honestly, for most women, we are so used to this. This is part of our lives and I mean, there are going to be women who say, this never happened to me, but I promise it has happened to you. You have been interrupted and something has been explained to you. And mansplaining only exists if you're the expert and then someone interrupts you to tell you what you probably already know. The other is called teaching, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I know a thing you don't know, let me help you out. But mansplaining, by definition, is sort of someone at an equal level or even someone higher. You're telling them what no, you got that wrong. Let me explain. So blah, blah, blah. And when it's happened to you, which it has happened to me, maybe it's happened to you guys. I don't know. I mean, that's now the term. Regardless of the gender who does it to whoever, it's mansplaining. And it is, let me tell you what you're supposed to think and what you're supposed to know. And sort of like it's a pat on the head. It is the most infuriating, like demoralizing, awful experience, especially if it's in a public setting, which of course they showed a little scene in the Gillette commercial where he puts his hand at that big meeting, corporate meeting, puts his hand on her shoulder and says, well, what I think she's trying to say.
Right. Yeah.
That is a perfect example. And raise your hand, ladies. We've all had it in some form at some point. Now,
if I'm honest, I've done this before to somebody.
I'll guarantee you have.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. This commercial is mansplaining to men.
Yeah.
So it is, you're feeling it, dudes. This is like the best thing that could happen. Is to have a 10.
Gillette is putting their hand on our shoulders and saying,
let me tell you what men are.
Here's what you're doing. Yeah.
All right. Well, now, but if you're right about this theory, that's very interesting, by the way. I'd never really given it that much thought. I just figured it was just like everyone's in this cocked gun mode where they're sure that in any minute now someone's going to say they're not being politically correct, and now they're going to freak out. And to me, so it was more primordial, like tribal to me. But I think you're right.
Everybody's looking for something to get offended by.
Yeah, I think you're right, though, that these guys, and by these guys I mean the ones that reacted so poorly to this or the ones that were so upset about it, that's what's happening. They don't like that feeling, and it turns out that feeling sucks. And what you're saying is, actually, this is something I noticed. I went down kind of a rabbit hole a couple days into this thing where a bunch of people were showing commercials for women's stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't really pay attention to those, obviously, because they're not really aimed at me. But when you watch them and really pay attention to the messaging, those commercials are all about telling women that they're not doing something right.
Oh, hell
They're
yeah.
all about your makeup's wrong, you're dressing wrong, that's the wrong softener for the clothes.
Yeah.
Your dog just screwed up your couch. You're using the wrong thing to clean the stain off there.
Your hair looks like shit. Here's how you can fix it.
Yeah, here's this to fix it. Here's that. Like, that's happening constantly in the messaging toward you guys. And for us, it's more like, get a beer and go on the weekend with your friends. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a much more positive thing.
Wouldn't you be even more handsome in a truck?
Yeah, but it's a very specific tonal thing. Someone in the chat says that's all ads. I disagree, Icor. It's a very different. They're not telling men that they're doing it wrong. They're telling men this truck is awesome and you should drive it. That's different. That's not them saying you don't know how to drive trucks or your car sucks. It's them saying, "Hey boys, we got a new one. Check it out, and it's only going to cost you $600 a month. Get in there right now, yeah!" Right?
Well, how many ads with that are geared towards women show the women, messing with their hair or like showing that they're having frizzy hair or split ends or whatever, and then they get to the product. I'm trying to think of like ads targeted toward men where they start with that, right? Where they start with, "Oh, here's Bill trying to get his Prius to work. Nope, he needs a truck."
Yeah, but even when there's comedic value to a guy who's, let's say, like a NyQuil commercial, and there's always that husband that's in the middle of the night going, "Oh," and the wife's like, "Oh, honey, you didn't take the thing I told you to take." Even that stuff's done to such a degree of ridiculousness and sort of humor that it's like, yeah, dude, guys need the women to fix it for them. Like, it's a weird, even more meta message that's funky.
Right. Which we'll get to that, like what actually messages men do get that are really damaging and really important to discuss. But let's stick with the mansplaining for just a minute. So this feeling of being told what kind of person you're supposed to be, it may be not so related. Like, I'm not sure these dudes who are throwing their razors down the toilet are like, "I want a bully and you gotta let me." It's not that.
Right, of course not.
I don't think. There's someone who's like, "I want to be a douchebag and you can't tell me to stop." But I think it's maybe two. Most of them, I think it's being told what men are supposed to be, and you guys are not used to it. Like, there's portrayals of doofy husbands, the dumb dad who can't figure stuff out, which I think is really wrong. And I get why we laugh at it, because we're messing with the power structure or we're, whatever. So there's a reason there's humor to it. And obviously, I guess, but in the end, like, having dumber dads is not better for anybody. Right.
No.
But that portrayal is what it is. But there is this thing that it's like, you can be better, you can do better. Whereas women, that is constantly the message. Right. You can be thinner, you can be prettier, you can have this magic potion. I mean, you look at old timey ads, that's all it's ever been. And there's a reason. It works. Women will buy this stuff because it's supposed to make them feel better, and then it doesn't, and then they buy more stuff. I mean, there is a reason these are commercials, right? So this other commercial I sent you, which people could check out, I don't know where it went, so you have to find it. But it's a response to the Gillette commercial, and it's interesting because it goes through, it has pictures of all these still pictures of men and talking about, like, then there's stats that come up.
Yeah. And
like, what is a man? And then it's saying like 97% of all fatalities in the military are men, which makes sense because 90% of all the people in the military are men. Right. But also like, hey, we're putting our lives on the line. Or, look at the good that we do. Look at how we protect society. Look at, and I get the response. The response is, hey, you just told me to be a sensitive new age guy, but you're also telling me to run in that burning building and save somebody.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Right.
You tell me I need you to be sensitive and share my feelings, but the second I do, you tell me I'm a baby. And you tell me, hey, let's have equal rights, but you demand that I make all the risks and pay all the money to get you to date me. Like, the messaging is this is why it's hitting this moment in a particular way, I think. I think the 60s is when this started, though. Roles started shifting and people started whatever. And that's the clash. The clash is not simply like this. I don't get that person. What a douchebag you are for thinking bullying's a good thing or whatever.
Right.
I think it comes down to this other stuff. And then, and I can send you a link to this, but I was watching, there's a researcher, he was literally the president of the National Organization for Women twice, the only man to hold that job. Like he's quite the guy. And he's been writing about this stuff for a long time. And he's written this book recently called The Crisis, The Boy Crisis. And, sort of talking about this idea that, men commit suicide at higher rates than any other group, white men in particular, at this point in our history. So what is that about? And we can kind of go, well, whoa, there's a problem there. But when those boys get guns and go and shoot up schools, now it impacts us in a very different way. And, he kind of is writing and talking in response to these mass shootings and ultimately what's happening to these kids. And, of the 27 last active, shooters that killed 8 or more people, 26 of them had crazy backgrounds, fatherless or terrible fathers. The reality of the Gillette commercial that makes me tear up is that there's these good men trying to do the right thing.
Right.
And so how do we build men at the same time we allow women to have their pain, right? Have women to have more power. Is there a way to do it? And I don't have the answer.
I know. Well, no, if the answer is easy, we'd all be swimming in it. But here's the thing. I had an experience that absolutely applies to this, and it happened just last night. So this is awesome. So I'm streaming a video game with some friends. All right. Normally, it's me, 3 dudes, and a girl all playing Heroes of the Storm. She was not feeling well, so she was out. So it was just me and 3 other guys. So we decided to play this game where you run around and kill a bunch of ogres and stuff in a fantasy world. I don't have to get into that too much. It doesn't really matter. But we're playing this game last night and having a great time. And most of the chat room in there is people we know or names I've seen before, and people are having fun. I saw a few randoms come in who were just there because they saw their favorite game was getting played. They don't know who we are, but they're being very friendly and nice. Somebody gets in there, probably some kid, and goes, "Oh my gosh, old man playing this game," he says. And my immediate reaction was like, "What do you mean, old man? I'm only 49. I'm not that old. Come on, it's not like some 85." Like in my head, I'm kind of doing turmoil jumps because I'm thinking, this kid, come here, you little a-hole. Let me tell you what old it, like all this. And so on the stream, I was like, "Oh, are you aging at a different rate than I am? Are you? Or are you planning on dying early? Because you'll be here one day unless you want to die early." I started being kind of a turd about it. And we laughed it off, and that was the end of it. But now, after talking to you, I realized what happened, and I realized how little I appreciate what happens to girls of any age who stream. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of them, and they're streaming a lot of games, and they're out on Twitch, and they're putting themselves out there, and they're having fun, and it's great, and they got good communities and all of that. But they have constant streams of vulgarities, people coming in there and saying, "Whoa, you're hot, show us your boobs," or "Ooh, you're fat. Why are you streaming? You're fat and ugly." Like, this happens to them constantly. Mm-hmm. I hear it from all my streamy nerd girlfriends that are all out there on the internet. Girlfriends isn't friends who are girls, guys. Don't get your heads all in a pinch. No. But anyway, it just hit me today. What I was feeling was just this tiny nugget, and it felt foreign and out of place because it never happens. Except once in a while, someone will come in and poop in my soup. Mm-hmm. But that was one time out of the last, 50 hours of streaming where anybody was said anything to me that made me feel personally irritated like that. Right. How must it feel for the average girl streaming, or the average, let's say someone who's gay and particularly flamboyant or whatever? They put themselves out there, and immediately it's not just mansplaining, but that mean kind of thing happens, and it never happens to us. So I think that's what's happening. These guys don't have this happen to them. They're never told.
You had 49 and a half years without this. It happened last night. So your identity is developed. Nobody appreciates being young and in the prime of life, because you don't know that's what it is until you're old and go, "Oh, I'm irrelevant now." Okay, cool. Right? Like you had to wait 49 years for ageism to even exist for you.
Right.
So then you could go, "Oh, that feels crappy." So you're 12, you're playing video games for the first time. You are told that your looks is all that matters, right?
Yeah.
So we could have a whole feminist podcast for sure. But this is more about, for me, it's like I can extend a ton of empathy to men, even though it is the first time and there's a part of me that's like, hey, how's it feel? But it's also like, no, guys, like really, without you and without us, everyone feeling good, like none of us are going to do better. This isn't about one team trying to beat the other. Yeah. But it is really important that you recognize you've had the advantage as the team for the whole time. And there is a reason this is tumultuous, right? Like everyone's having to figure out where their place is and what they feel and what they think. And here's where I think women, we get in trouble. So imagine you're a young girl playing any of these games or living your life outside of your house. Your looks is the thing that gets commented on. Mm-hmm. You wonder why we buy creams and potions and lotions, because we are told it's going to fix and make us feel better, right? Mm-hmm. And so that is early on in life and continues, right? Yeah. And for men, you have a similar version. So maybe you two could talk to this. What is the version of stereotyping, or you must play this role that you guys feel the burden of, or has been hard? Go for it. Mike, dudes, talk about it. Let's go.
The stuff I felt was mostly at my let's say 17 to like 22. It was kind of the range for me, where I felt all those pressures came to bear, and those pressures were things like, well, what are you going to do with your life? Because you got to pay, you got to pay the bills and support your family. And this is before I had a family. It was like, you got to be in a position where you can do all these things. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to make sure that stuff happens? Because it's all there is you doing that. And if you don't do that, then everything's lost. So I felt that pressure very acutely. And there was a period of time there where I was just like, I'm never getting married. I'm not doing any of this stuff. I'm just going to be living on my own in some apartment and doing whatever I want to do, because y'all got too much pressure on me to do whatever else.
Right.
Turns out it's all possible. Yeah, it turns out it's all possible, and it's all fine, and you can even take some wacky risks in there and make it all work, if you're lucky enough. And in my case, I think there's I have less obstacles to do some of those things than others do. But the point is, like I felt that pressure. I mean, Brian, I've always had this question for you, and I hope you don't mind me asking it. But your dad's a renowned cancer doctor. Have you ever felt the pressure of that? Like, oh, look what he's doing. And even though I don't really want to do that, there's like this weird, do you get an existential pressure to like, I should be doing more of that? Or like, where's that at for you?
I used to feel a lot of that, and it never came from him. Like because he wasn't the first either. My grandfather, his dad was medical physicist as well, and may have even been, one more up the line from there. So I always felt, even though it never was real, never was really positioned at me, that I needed to carry on that tradition and go into the medical field and stuff like that. And when I decided, initially I was like, oh, I want to be a veterinarian, and every kid wants to be a veterinarian for about a year. Yeah. And then it's like, no, I want to be an artist. And my dad was always just super supportive and absolutely did everything that he could to kind of help me move towards that area. And I kind of went from art into computers and technology, and now we know where I'm at today. Sure. I've always felt, when I was younger, I felt like, God, I'm really letting him down by not being a doctor or going into the medical field. And even, just to kind of to answer Wendy's question, there was that all at the initial outset of wanting to go into podcasting and quitting my job and kind of moving into that I was expected. The role was expected that, nope, you're supposed to be the breadwinner. You're supposed to go to work for, a 9-to-5 job, make more than your wife, all that sort of thing. And I didn't.
Right. Yeah.
Like you really felt it.
And he does. Right? And this is a case where he's not getting that direct pressure from his dad or any of those other angles. It's just this systemic thing we feel. And that's weird. Exactly. Yeah. And
it comes down, thank you both for sharing that, because it really is, it is where the crux of this hits. Like, I think that's some of it, is like, you guys aren't allowed to have feelings. Okay, let's start there. We train you from a very young age. Don't be sad, don't cry, don't feel too much. You get to be happy, horny, and angry. Those are your 3. Run.
And hopefully not at the same time.
Yeah.
And all at the same time is bad and you go to jail. Like, but here's the thing. There is this like very limited emotional scope you're allowed. And then like if you're sensitive, like you realize pretty quickly, if I go out into the world like this, I'm going to get beat up. I'm going to get, I mean, the bullying thing is very legitimately boys to boys. There's all sorts of bullying, but this boys to boys around sort of sensitivity. You could say traditionally feminine, that's the word, feminine sort of behaviors or role. I mean, there is this threat to whatever first grade structure that exists that this comes out in. So you learn from a very young age, from peers, from teachers, from parents, what boys do and what boys don't do. And there's names we have for you if you do one of the others, right? So now you're boxed into this emotional sort of space. And then you're disposable on one hand, right? When we go to war or when there's a fire or when there's, whatever historically has been dominantly male things, they've, anything that's dangerous, it's always been male, correct? And we sort of just go out there. And then eventually women have gotten to a position where they can be involved in those things and those doors have opened. But there is a sense of disposability that has been with young men and kind of has throughout time. It's part of, think of it sort of tribally, that the protectors, we have to raise them to be strong enough to go out there and fight the battle, right? And even though we're not doing wars the same way we have, we're still those same people in some regard. So we need our men to be certain things, which really limits who they get to be, right?
Yeah.
And then women say, I want sensitive, I want new age. And then, no, really, I want somebody to pick me up and run if there's a fire, actually, right? Let's be really honest. And so there's a biological sort of part of this, a tribal part of this. But this thing that you have internalized, which is I'm the provider, I'm the protector, I do these things, it's my value, I think has, it limits you, but I think it also, would these commercials maybe discount that feeling of, hold on, I build my whole life to do the right thing, and you're now telling me what to do.
Yeah, I think
you're
a little bit.
You're now telling me I'm doing it wrong, and that's painful.
Nobody likes being told they're doing it wrong. And the thing is, everyone I know in the part of that commercial where the kid's getting bullied, you intervene. You just do. Like, I don't know anyone who wouldn't do that, but there are somebody who doesn't. I know there are, because I've talked to people who've had those experiences, but everybody sees that and goes, don't tell me what to do. I would have done that anyway. Like, it's the defensive position and there's no way out of it. But there's a larger question here. If it's, let's say you meet somebody who's a super advocate for anti-bullying. That's awesome. You're like, oh yeah, dude, somebody out there really fighting the good fight to keep bullying out of schools and ways kids can deal with this and that and the other. If it wasn't for some bullying, that person probably wouldn't have the expertise, the maturity, and the level they've attained in their anti-bullying campaign without the bullying in the first place. So to eradicate bullying means that person would not exist in the future, when you might say, well, that's fine. But then when there is some bullying, then nobody knows what to do with it. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like cyclical. If you don't have a little, like growing up, I got picked on until I got tall. So for whatever that means, I'm sure there's a whole nother podcast about that we could do.
That's like saying, all right, well, you had chicken pox, so you're never going to get chicken pox again. So therefore, chicken pox is a good thing.
Well, no, I don't mean that.
If we eliminated chicken pox altogether, then we'd be without chicken pox.
Well, here's what I mean, though. How if...
I agree that it's cyclical, absolutely. But I don't feel like I feel like if we eliminated bullying, if we were able to eliminate bullying altogether, then yes, it would be a good thing, because you wouldn't have the people who need to stand up and fight against bullying, because there's no bullying to fight against.
Yeah, but the only reason some people are really the biggest reason I'm most against bullying is because I took some heat when I was little and got tall before I got tall. So now I'm way defensive of it. I see a kid and go, nope, not on my watch. I went through that. I'm not going to go through it on my, I'm prepared now for that because of the experience. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I like this, but it does feel like that's an eternal round. Like it's
right, but
so we're never going to be able to eradicate.
I guess so.
Is what
I'm saying. Yeah.
Partly because humans are human, but the virtuous cycle. I mean, Brian's point's a good one. Also, I was never bullied, and I cannot take it for a half a second if I see it. Like, I don't think you have to be bullied.
No, you
I think,
don't.
I think there's a bit of but what your point really ultimately is your own experience has trained you. I mean, you learned certain skills, Scott, because of that. It isn't just because you were tall. That does help, obviously. But if you think about these outside forces that are violent in nature, violent or threatening or scary in some nature, it really helps us form a bit of how we interact in the world, right?
Right.
So, and I've mentioned this on this show before, and I think all women can understand this. We have certain things we do to try to increase our physical safety, and it's on our minds. It is not on your mind. It is on our minds, which means we behave differently, we drive differently, we go to different places, we interact differently, we say different words, we calm someone down instead of incite some. Like it does play a role. So to imagine the world without any bullying, is like a great book. Could someone write that? Because I think it constrains us in different interesting ways. And I think something that comes out of it is the anger, right? So Scott, you're tall, you broke the cycle, you're fine, but you can still tap into some of that anger, right?
Oh yeah, easy.
You take someone who's never had a break and they feel this punishment all the time in some form at their job, and women who have felt discriminated against, people of color, anyone who has been the odd man out and has, anger builds and builds and builds. And as if anger is the sort of foundation of your world, it's the place you move from, you're going to have such a different response, which I think is why the internet is truly the way it is that it is this place where anger can go because the ramifications are so much smaller than they would ever be in real life.
Yeah.
Right. So I can express myself in this way. I can find people who agree with me, and our anger feeds each other and all that jazz.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say one quick thing about mansplaining. So I don't experience this very much.
Yeah.
And I truly think it's because I'm tall. And also I work in a female-dominated industry, so it's probably I don't have enough exposure to a group of men in suits and ties, and I raise my hand to have an idea, and they talk over me. Now, has it happened? Absolutely. I'm not saying it has not happened. But I am interested in this idea that your physical presence has an impact, because we're at the core pretty animalistic, primal, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe, I don't know, but I found that really interesting because I was talking to a friend. She's like 5'6". She gets mansplained to all the time. Her friend who's 6 foot never gets mansplained to. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm 5'10". That kind of explains some things, but maybe I'm also not in those settings. But It is an interesting feeling. And I wonder if any men in the chat room or you guys in your own experience have been mansplained too. Can you think of a time where somebody essentially, came to you and just said, all right, well, you don't know how to draw. It has a lot to do with the area of expertise.
It does.
But it can also just be, hey, the world works like this. Let me explain how electricity works or something,
Well, I've had it
3 times a day on Twitter. We get something mansplained to us.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah. I can't believe you've never heard of the Spanish flu. I think somebody.
Or that movie you like is terrible, and here's why.
Exactly.
Even in
by the way, the person who did come out on Twitter and say, "I can't believe you guys had never heard of the Spanish flu," and it really was directed just at me.
Yeah, I love that.
I'd heard of it, didn't know the specificks of it. It's totally fine.
It's totally fine. Not everyone has to know every detail of everything, but there is a lot of that in our world. Sure, even Brian and I collectively, just on this show, in the aftermath of an episode. There's all sorts of kinds of heat. I guarantee you today, there will be, even though I think this has been a very open, even-handed conversation about a thing with us without real slants to it, there's somebody out there's going to see it as a feminist nightmare and say they're never listening to the show again. I guarantee it. There'll be somebody who will email me and say, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I can't listen to your show anymore. Today was the last straw. I can't believe what a social justice warrior feminist nightmare it's become. And that's what they'll do. And when they do that, that's not the same as mansplaining. But when they do that, I just don't know what to say. It's like, what else are we supposed to do? We're just supposed to not talk about these things. Is there a way to talk about it? Is the only way in your mind is to absolutely 100% only toe the line for those who are upset about the Gillette commercial and decided to flush plastic razors down their toilet and give themselves plumbing problems for the next decade? I don't know. Maybe that's the answer. But my thing is this. Can you tell us about manspreading as well as mansplaining?
Oh, yeah. You know what? The worst is when you're being mansplained to by a manspreader.
But why do we do that? Why do we go, and just get our legs all out there?
You have junk between your legs and you want it to breathe. I don't know. I'm not you guys.
Fine.
Why do you?
Fine. No, I just was curious if we had any kind of take on the whole manspreading. Because
by the way, Gina was telling me that it's illegal in certain places to manspread now, like subways. I think it was Europe. There was some European subway where now it's illegal to manspread. You can't extend your legs past 90 degrees on the on the thing. But listen, you guys have your own thing. You have shebagging, where your purse takes up the seat next to you.
Hey, by the way, that is a safety measure. I don't know if you've heard the secret code.
Oh, I see. I thought it was an invitation to take your bag and run. That's not it?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. Oh, yeah. I mean, nobody's better than anyone else. That's the problem, is we all do our own weird things. But there's this cool thing about human beings, is it keeps us from hating ourselves, I think, is that we can't really see ourselves accurately, right? Like it's a self-protective mechanism. So I can be so good at this and think I'm like, so evolved. And then the reality is I'm probably doing some version of that somewhere and I just don't see it. Mm-hmm. So sort of the humility to take some feedback is really rare, I think. But it is so powerful. Honestly, it's the only way to sort of, I don't know, recognize. I mean, that's what was so good about this Gillette thing for me is, having this conversation with another person and watching all these videos and realize like, yeah, it behooves me to understand why this bothered somebody.
Yeah.
Because to me, it seems like kind of good and innocent and it's Gillette and it's selling razors. And does anyone buy Gillette razors? I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. It's not even in my purview, right?
It's not your thing, yeah.
But what about
Dollar Shave Club because they don't make me feel bad.
There was a lot of that, wasn't there? There was a lot of, hey, Dollar Shave Club, I'm on my way. I can't do this other one no more. Yeah.
Right. And really, I mean, if anyone's listening and this is hard for you, just take that feeling that it felt when you watched that commercial and then look around and see who else feels it. And it may be it's another dude with a Gillette commercial, but it might also just be like your wife with 90% of the stuff that happens during the day. Or it might be one of your kids and what they're experiencing on a playground. Like there's this version of you're wrong, do it better. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what a woman is. Like if we switched the genders on anything, it's all sorts of offensive. The problem is this is the first time for you guys. So it is new. Trust me, it doesn't get better. It feels crappy forever.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, use your dollar. Don't buy Gillette razors. That's the other option we all have, right? Is to decide what we do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The irony
I
is
don't know. I want the answers, but I don't know what they are.
The irony is their sales made a big jump because they always do. Like this is how this works. This is the other thing is I'm cynical on another level where forget about all the messaging, forget about the reaction and all of that. In Nike's case with that Kaepernick stuff and in Gillette's case with this thing, when one of these companies latches on to a very hot contested social issue, their sales go up. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it makes me have to, at the very least, at a baseline, ask the question, does Gillette, Gillette knows this. They're not trying to make less money. They have shareholders and people hold interest in the company. They're not going to just poop it away because they just really want to do the right thing. Because I don't believe that any big company does that. Like as much as I love that all of Apple's laptops and anything that uses their metal casings now are all 100% recycled aluminum, I think that's awesome. And it's great for the environment and everything in them is recyclable. Like they are way and beyond everyone else in this regard. Killing it, okay? But I know that it's not just because it's the goodness of their heart. Apple's also responsible for a huge amount of the minerals and the mind stuff that we need in this world being diminished. Like it's gone because of them. So it's nice on the one hand. On the other hand, it's also they're not going to do it if it means they're going to lose sales or they're going to crumble as a company just because it's the nice thing to do. So that level of cynicism I have a hard time peeling away, but it's got nothing to do. The messaging is absolutely correct in my opinion, but I need to get over my, every corporation wants to screw you kind of attitude, because that's how it feels sometimes.
Right.
They're just out to get, whatever. So it's all a very complicated thing in the end. I'm glad we talked about it, and we're going to get feedback, and that's good. I want to know what people think about this thing. I was mansplained to the other day playing Heroes of the Storm with some friends. Somebody in the chat room says, "Oh, these guys have low game IQ. I wouldn't have done that thing." Which isn't even a thing, by the way. Low game IQ.
Oh, it's got to be now, though.
Well,
game IQ. That's
Gamersplaining or something. There's got to be another term for this. Gamersplaining.
Yeah, gamesplaining. There you go. So,
trollsplaining. Yeah,
the whole get good attitude, like just get good, that sort of thing, is really obnoxious.
L2P noob.
It's really obnoxious. But now that I think about it, what is different than that than somebody saying, "Ugh, this girl's ugly"? It's worse that happens, and it happens more often. Like this has been eye-opening for me, because I don't really think about it from that perspective. It's like when you say, how many women do you know who have been assaulted or in some way sexually harassed? And my answer is, I don't know that many at all. But I know I'm wrong.
Yeah, because they're not telling you.
Because they don't say, because why would they? Because if I did, would I be out blabbing it? Would I go, yeah, today on the bus some guy grabbed my ween and wouldn't let go? I'm not going to tell anyone that if that happened. I might on TMS, because we do things differently here, but you know what I mean? Like, I think it's, if anything comes out of this, I hope that's what comes out of it, is that we just open our eyes a little bit. And that means everybody. Women see our limited, crappy version of what we have over here with what our expectations are and the little boxes we've been put in. And more importantly, men, why don't we open our eyes to the much wider range of problems that women have to deal with? Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not happening. Wood crash or a tree crashes in the forest doesn't make a sound, that old thing. Just because you're not there doesn't mean it's not happening. And doesn't mean you're the one doing it. In fact, part of the problem is that the ones who aren't doing it don't see it, so they don't know. And so it's what a bummer. What a bummer that is, that divide. Yeah. It gives me a little gas.
And it is, and it's old, and it can't, honestly, I feel like it's like, these are the labor pains of, maybe I'm just such a freaky optimist, but the labor pains of like good change.
I agree.
Like, I don't know if you know this story. I'm sure Mom would really appreciate me sharing this with everyone. But when #MeToo started a couple of years ago, and she started hearing women tell their stories, she realized like, oh, well, I was nearly raped. And I'm like, what the what?
Yeah, what, Mom?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. You should ever tell you sometime. And she was not. She figured out how to get out of the situation. It was someone she knew. She had just gotten divorced from her first husband, and a friend that was supposed to be helping her basically attacked her. And she was able to, she started crying, and he stopped, and, and then he was a mess. The guy was an absolute mess. Anyway, she never once thought, and this guy went on to public politics. He was, a representative in Utah. He was a, really powerful dude. And she never once thought like her version of that story mattered, or that it was, Dad almost beat him up when he saw him once, but that was the extent. It was a very private family, whatever situation. And #MeToo comes out. Mom is 78 years old at the time. And she's like, if that guy was alive right this minute, I would be calling somebody. I would be calling him. It empowered her to recognize that this thing that had happened to her was not her fault, was not, that she had actually a voice and value. And I think that is amazing, right? That is amazing that a lifetime where you just hid that away inside, unfortunately it wasn't worse than that, but, anyway, so you take that and you think, is that a bad thing? Is it a growing pain? Absolutely. Because a lot of men don't know what to do now. They're confused, like how this all plays out. But is it a step in the right direction? I think it is. Now, here is this interesting other step that's happening. And you have this sort of like, oh, come on, men, don't cry, right? We're perpetuating that a little bit. Instead of like, no, really, there's a reason this hurts you. This thing that really probably shouldn't hurt you is hurting you. Why? And to get down to it, I think is really important, because one gender can't win and the other be fine. Both have to win, and that is going to be, it's going to be tough. So I don't know, maybe I'm just.
No, I like the optimism. I think it's good to have that. I didn't know that thing about Mom. It also
it's crazy.
Puts me in this weird feeling of you don't know how to respond to such a thing. Like, I don't know what do you even do? She's 80 now. Has this bugged her forever? Did her anxiety come from that? You know, like I got all kinds of questions about that now. Like
you should check.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about that is she felt safe to say it. She wasn't really emotional or anything telling me but it was 2 hours of me saying, okay, keep going, talk. Yeah. It's okay. Get it out, and she was fired up too. Like, I want to do something with this. And I'm like, well, he's dead.
Yeah.
His life was a nightmare in the end. Really, it was a sad story in the end. But, this was a guy in the community she accidentally would run into in the grocery store. And, the reality for her was intense. And I think there are men with the same stories.
Right.
So I'm going to just share real quick a parenting. It's easy to share parenting fails because we're like, yeah, we're all in this together and it's terrible. But I'm going to share a parenting win that has to do with this. So one of my kids, you could guess, is in school, and there's another guy at a table and a girl at the table, and they're in art class or something, and they're just waiting for the class to start. And they start talking about her boyfriend. And in the process of talking about her boyfriend, Abe was overheard by the teacher asking if they had sex. My little child asked a girl if she was having anyway, it was a very scary moment for me. Anyway, and partly because, in Sweden, that's a normal chit-chat conversation.
Yeah.
And it really is. Like, the conversation of sex there is normal. Not in a Minnesota middle school. Okay.
No.
So the teacher overhears, pulls him aside and says, hey, Abe, I'm not sure if you recognize that type of discussion might be considered sexual harassment. And Abe's like, what?
Yeah.
How in the world is this? And he's thinking, you prudish Americans, what is wrong with you? It's like a normal friend conversation.
Right.
Anyway, so the dean emails me and says, hey, just today. And then, Abe came home from school. So I said, hey, you want to talk about this? And he's like, I'm so confused, Mom. Like, I don't know what they thought I was doing. They acted like it was such a big deal. And so we had a good conversation. And I said, hey, listen, I get that feeling of like your legs were swiped out from under you because that wasn't your intent. You didn't realize, first of all, your teacher was listening. And also, why are you talking about sex at school? Anyway, so then he, as we chat for a minute, he's trying to sort of get this. And I said, so let's just take that girl's perspective for a minute. What was she doing? And he's like, oh, she was giggling. She was like laughing. And I'm like, so did it seem like she was enjoying the conversation? He's like, yeah, I mean, why else would she be giggling and laughing? And I'm like, just for a second, imagine she was really nervous. Imagine like the giggling was a response to, oh, I can't believe we have to talk about this. And, and there's these two boys asking about my sex life. And that was her response. And so, a light bulb goes on like, oh, like people can actually act in a way that doesn't feel consistent with the way in theory they might be feeling. I'm like, yeah, that's very possible. Mm-hmm. And then he had an experience in Sweden where there was this kid who was a serious bully. And in Sweden, you take showers in first grade together. Like, it is from first grade on, you are showering with all your peers, not boys and girls, but they're separated, but still.
Yeah.
So there was a kid who sat outside the locker room, fully dressed, never showered. And then as every boy would come by, he would make fun of their penis.
Oh, jeez.
So it was sexual harassment for a bunch of fifth graders.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Abe finally told me about it one day, and we how to handle it, and and he dealt with it. And I said, you got to think about this kid. He never showers. He sits outside in his clothing and does this. What do you think is going on for him? Why would he do this? And he's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And he figured it out eventually.
He has no penis.
Yeah, he's coming from a bad place if this is what's happening.
Right.
So you got to understand the power differential thing he's creating. So he dealt with it and it totally handled it. And the kids stopped doing it. And I said, there's other kids that feel like you blah, blah, blah. So they handled the thing. So fast forward to this experience with his school. And I said, you know how it feels. Like, you've been sexually harassed by another kid. You know how powerless it is to have somebody make you all about one thing that you can't control, and mock you and put you down. And so just for a second, step into her shoes and imagine that she was giggling and laughing because she was so uncomfortable. She didn't know what to do. Just like you were so uncomfortable, you didn't know what to do. And you behaved in certain ways. And he was like, whoa. And it was one of those moments where, oh my gosh, parenting is so hard. But also parenting is so, like, sometimes you don't get to be a part of these moments. You don't know. If that teacher had not emailed me, I would not know that had happened. I wouldn't have been able to walk through that with him. But here is a boy, and I feel passionate about this because I'm raising 3 of them, right? And they're white and they're tall, and they're going to be the worst kind of white guys if I don't do my job, right? And it's very much this: how can I help them have empathy, be in tune with their own emotions, recognize emotional intelligence, essentially, right? Anyway, so gold star for me. Woo woo.
Good job. Yeah, you should get one for that. I think that all worked out good.
Yeah.
This has been great. I hope you people, if you listen to it and you got some stuff to say it. We'd like to continue the conversation beyond here if you desire to. But I think it's one of the best segments we've had. It's been really good. 1,638 episodes, one of the best ones we've done.
Finally, we have one we can be proud of.
Right.
Nicely done. All right. Well, in the meantime, therapythursdays.com is a great place to send Wendy emails if you have questions for her. You can also keep sending them to us via our email if you'd like as well. And who knows what next week will bring? Something new, surely.
No.
And then this little bit of advice from Wendy from last week. I just want to play this real quick before we go.
You know this can't be a good thing, right, Wendy?
Yeah.
I know.
This is what Wendy wants you to remember always. Here you go.
All kids are little cheating, sneaky little butts.
Kids are achieving little
Could you tell
sneaky
I was
little
trying
butts.
not to swear? Could
Yeah,
you hear the
I could
S?
tell. Yeah. You were like, you knew you were on the air or something. You're like, oh, I can't say that word.
I'm I'm on NPR. I cannot say this word.
Oh, yeah, NPR. Well, that's awesome. Thanks, Wendy, for everything. Say hi to everybody. And that's it. That's all I have. Oh, Wendy Dunford on Instagram if you want to follow her photographically. Stay out of trouble. We'll see you later.
Way better than following her with a camera taking pictures of every move she makes.
Yeah, don't do
Let
that.
her do that and just follow her feed.
Seems like a bad idea. All right. That is possibly...
Oh, we never did ask her. I was going to ask her if she's... does she know about the TMS Vegas thing now that she's on the continent?
Oh, I did mention it to her. I forgot. We could have brought it up here, but I mentioned it to her, and she was going to let me know back. Her and Adam might make a little excursion. Who knows? That could be awesome. That could be super fun. Yeah, they're in the States.
We'll set up a little Lucy Van Pelt psychiatric booth in the back.
Yeah.
Of the...
Yeah. I was going to ask her if she demanded $300 from my mom after their 2-hour phone call, but that would have been slightly inappropriate, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, good segment today, and it's good.
Yes.
All right, let's do this. Let's now be done. Let's be done.
Okay.
With the show. Here's the dealio. There is a strong possibility that I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, right smack dab in the middle of PM.
Oh,
I'm trying to get a better time. If I can, I will, and everything will go as planned. If not, it's kind of screwy because I'll miss that, and then I roll right into Current Geek this week because we had to change that date for Tom's trip. So there's this much of a chance there's no PM tomorrow. I'll let you guys know. Just pay attention to the feeds and everything. But I wanted to make sure it was known here so listeners at home weren't confused in case it doesn't happen. But if that happens, it's because I'm at the doctor. Good old Dr. Harrison. 2 fingers up the butt, 1 in the ear.
Checking for reception.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me? Oh, you're doing great then. Anyway, so tomorrow we'll let you know what's happening there. All right, Brian, I think that's it. Oh, other than to tell people if you would like to support this program, we would love it. Please head on over to patreon.com/TMS and do that. For those who have, we love you. Get some good stuff coming your way. Coming very soon via the patron. Yeah.
It takes us 46 hours of preparation for one single episode of TMS.
He's being totally truthful.
Think about that, and then gauge your donation or your support of the show. Not even donation. You're supporting the show. You're paying for content.
Yeah.
Think about the 46 hours that we put into each show, and then make your pledge.
Yeah. There's no. It's all coming back, baby. You pay down, and you get more. Oh yeah, and there is. I am doing Scott. Oh, there is a skim today. So in the chat room's all asking. There's a skim tonight. 4:30. We're starting a little early because we have an early dinner tonight. So 4:30 p.m. tonight. Just a half hour earlier than normal. for the Scott and Kim show. And then also from noon to 2, there will be a Frog Pants Plays continuing the Soma game. We'll see how that goes. Okay. That's it. Frogpants.com/TMS for everything else. We'll put links in there to the TMS Vegas stuff, which Brian will have all updated today, and get your hotels, blah, blah, blah. Yes. All right, that's it. Shall we leave with music, please?
Let's leave with music. Dustin Anderson wrote in last year, and another fill-in one here. He says, keeping it short and sweet. No real reason or request other than to share this awesome version of a song. Whenever you get a chance to play it, that'd be great. And love to all the Tadpooligans. Signed Dustin. Now, here's the deal. The one he requested Godsmack's cover of Pink Floyd's Time. We've played that on the show in the last couple of years, and so I decided, well, from that same album, I'll pick a different Godsmack cover, and that'll go out to Dustin. So, Dustin, I hope you're okay with this. This is a cover of the Beatles' Come Together from the Godsmack album Live and Inspired, which came out in 2012. A lot of you probably were expecting I was going to play a Weezer album today, or a Weezer song, didn't you? Because Weezer just dropped last night a brand new cover album.
Yeah, I heard. That
everybody thinks they're letting me know about for the first time on Twitter. Except for the person who did let me know about it for the first time on Twitter.
Right.
Anyway, Come Together by Godsmack, covering the Beatles. Here it is right now.
All right. We'll be back hopefully tomorrow for PM. If not, Monday. Yep. And a full weekend of other stuff, Film Sack, all that stuff. So watch for that. We'll see you then. This show is part of the Frog Pants Network.
Frog Pants Network.
Get more shows like this at frogpants.com.
Help me.